My name is Emily. Hi, everybody. My name is Emily Davies, and I'm the Assistant Director of the MPH program here at Harvard. And I'm joined by several of my colleagues here today as well. In today's session, we are going to provide an overview of Harvard's MPH program, talk about the various options and fields of study and eligibility requirements, and as I mentioned, also have some time for a Q&A at the end of the session. Anne, would you be able to introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. My name is Anne Occupancy. I'm the Assistant Dean for Professional Education, working with all MPH students and all variations of the program. Nice to see you today, and selfishly would love to see even more faces for those of you comfortable turning your camera on. Pass it to Megan.
Hi, everyone. Nice to see you today. Thanks for joining. My name is Megan. I work with MPH students as well, primarily with our online MPH generalist program. And I also do some work with students across different fields of study in the MPH. And I'll turn it over to Yingju.
Hi, everyone. My name is Yingju Lai. I am the Educational Programs Project Manager here at the MPH program. Primarily, I am the course administrator for the MPH core courses, which is a series of courses that all MPH students are required to take in their first year or first semester. And very happy to see you all. And I see that Dr. Middleman is here.
Hi, welcome everyone. We're really thrilled to have you here and look forward to having some good interaction with you as after we finish the formal part of the presentation. So I'm the faculty director of the MPH program and chair of the steering committee. And I also am a professor in the Department of Epidemiology and for the MPH program, in addition to being overall program chair. I'm the faculty leader for the quantitative methods stream. And we are thrilled to have you here. And I'm going to turn it back to Emily so we can jump right in and get through our formal part of the presentation and then open it up to questions.
Mary? So to give an overview of our MPH program, we have 3 different modalities, if you will, what we call residential programs. We have a hybrid program and a fully online option. Within those, we have different options, different fields of study. As you can see, the fields of study are not all offered in all of the modalities. So it's just something to consider which modality would work best for you or what you're looking for in terms of an on-campus, in-person program. Are you interested in more of a hybrid option, or would a fully online program best meet your needs, but also within your interest area of your field of study? And there are different eligibility requirements, which we'll talk about a little bit later on in this session. Something else to keep in mind, so the residential programs are primarily full-time, in-person. Most have a fall start. The MPH 45 program is typically 9 months, September through May. Whereas the MPH 65 program is a 1.5-year program with a summer intensive practicum experience, but it also starts in the fall. The hybrid MPH and epidemiology program is really unique in that students come to campus their first June for 3 weeks and take courses in person and engage with one another on campus. And then take courses online part-time during the academic year. They then return for a second June and take another series of courses in the week term of June of their second year, and then take more online courses the subsequent academic year online part-time. And then they will finish up in May and have an optional symposia to present their practicum projects with their fellow students and faculty. That's a really neat feature of the program. And the online MPH journalist program starts in fall fully online, over 2 years, part-time, and it's a great option for working professionals. You can still work while going to school and not having to relocate. And the majority of the courses are asynchronous, and so it is really designed to meet your needs in that way. And with this, I'm going to hand it back over to Murray to talk more about some of the unique features of Harvard's MPH program.
So thanks, Emily. So that was a great overview, and we're going to get into some of the details. But just to speak a little bit about why Harvard's MPH program. We know there are lots of programs across the country and other parts of the world. And what's special about us? Why should you consider applying here and coming? It's a very dynamic, exciting program, and we'll have some of the details coming up. But what the biggest strength of our program, honestly, is the strength and diversity of our students. We get students from around the world, and we'll show you the current distribution from this year's class in a few minutes. And people come from all kinds of different professional backgrounds and also carry with them a wealth of life experiences that they share across the program. And so it's a really special place with respect to the colleagues that you'll develop and the people that you'll work with, and across the student body, and that includes our MPH students, but also our other degree program students who are here on campus that you'll interact with. And so that level of diversity of personal characteristics, of life experience, of age range, and of professional experience really adds something special. I can tell you, I'm an alum of the program. I came here and did the MPH program back in 1989. It's been a while. I'm still in touch with my colleagues and friends that I met here as fellow students in the year in the program, and they're off around the world doing really exciting work. And it's one of the great things is the network that you develop while you're here in our program. Another is the faculty. We're okay too. And so we have experts in a broad range of areas. We have global leaders in fields across the program. And we're not only here within the School of Public Health, but we're embedded in a really, a great university with tremendous breadth and depth of expertise and learning opportunities across the university. And one of the special things that you'll see when we describe the program is not only the strength of what we have here locally on campus, but also the fact that we're embedded in a network that includes all the other graduate schools at Harvard and at MIT, and some opportunities also in international relations and diplomacy through Tufts. It gives you tremendous opportunities in terms of learning from experts and working together shoulder to shoulder on important problems in public health. The other thing is that there are opportunities to engage in different kinds of learning and different opportunities across the university, including the Harvard iLab, the Innovation Lab, and other elements across the university that our students engage in every year. Another important strength of our program is the breadth and depth. Our program is large enough and diverse enough in terms of the fields of study and the and the faculty that are here on our campus, in addition to being open to the entire university. But that gives you opportunities of, just a curriculum that has tremendous breadth of opportunities to learn from, and also be able to take a deep dive in many areas, even areas that might seem obscure. There's a good chance that somebody on campus has really deep expertise, and there's someone you can work with on even more unique niche areas. The next is the opportunities to cross-register that I mentioned. We're embedded in this system that allows you access to coursework and faculty and projects, outside of our community, and our local community is pretty robust to start with. The other important thing for many of our students is, opportunities to engage in either clinical or public health research opportunities, or quality programs or implementation projects that are based either at Harvard Medical School or at the academic health centers, including, the Brigham and Women's Hospital is right. Actually, I can see it from my window. Children's Hospital, Boston Children's Hospital, the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute, and the other Harvard teaching hospitals that are relatively close by, maybe a shuttle ride to get over at Massachusetts General, but another great opportunity for collaboration across all the fields of study. And then finally, the opportunity to connect with the Harvard Alumni Network. And that is started when you're here, both with all the future alums that will be in your class, but also from our alumni network that's out there who are, we have a directory, and you have access to them to help with projects and support and career advice and those sorts of things. And that's buying something really really exciting. And the last thing I'll say is that New England is lovely throughout the year. We have seasons. Anyway, so I'll turn it back to Emily, I think, or am I on the next slide? We'll see what's coming next, and I'll tell you if I'm still.
Murray, if you would like to
Yep.
talk more about the curriculum.
Sure, yeah. So I just want to say a little bit about the overall philosophy of the curriculum and how it works. And you can see on this slide the different components that you engage with to get to the MPH degree. So the first part is, and this is based on a notion that our former dean used to talk about as creating T-shaped individuals. And by that, what he meant was that every MPH candidate that comes through the program is going to be guaranteed a very broad base of knowledge and experiences and competencies across public health in general. And Yingju helps to navigate that with you. And then in addition to that broad base that everybody gets, everybody also has a deep dive in a particular area within their field of study. And so in order to accomplish that and to get you where you need to be by the end of your degree program, we have a core curriculum that has a series of short courses that are quite intense to give you a broad base in the big areas and big questions and big problems in public health, as well as building competencies that every public health person needs. In terms of things like health communication and leadership, and all sorts of things outside of the sort of knowledge-based parts that are also part of it. Then in addition, each field of study has a deep dive with field of study specific coursework to give everybody within a field of study a deep dive in a particular area with a common set of skills and competencies that you can then apply. In addition, beyond that, there are electives, and some people will take electives related to their field of study in a very narrow way, and that's great because it gives you even more depth. But most people will also build out a little bit with more breadth within areas of interest that are perhaps adjacent to their primary field of study, to give them other opportunities to learn and to think about what they want to do with their career path and their trajectory from here. And when we put this all together and you take the required courses, this is what's going to give you the base for your public health education. But more importantly, we also have a hands-on component where you do applied practice and produce an integrative learning experience as a capstone. And so all of it together is going to be what gets you to the end product of the MPH degree. And one of the important things about our curriculum and the way it's designed is that we really want people come in and we read your personal statements, and we care a lot about that, and we understand where you see your career heading. But truthfully, the students that we feel like where we've really succeeded is when you emerge from the program thinking about your career trajectory differently than you did when you entered. And that comes from these different experiences that are open to you. And so that's our aspiration for every student, is that they emerge from the program thinking about their what they want to do with their career trajectory somewhat differently than when they entered. So we want to bend that those notions that you have about where you're heading. And that's part of the excitement of this place. And some of it comes from the stuff we talked about on the previous slide. You know, when you get to, you know, whatever field you're in, you get to sit down and have conversations with people with very different life experiences and professional experiences preceding you, and then interact with faculty experts in different areas. It really, hopefully, will help you to think more deeply about where you're heading. So we'll turn it back to Emily now on the next slide, I think.
Thanks, Murray. One other thing I want to mention with this slide, sometimes applicants are deciding between or among different fields of study. And one good way to help you with making your decision is to look at the curriculum guides and the field of study requirements. Look at what courses are required, and then you can look those courses up in the Harvard course catalog and read through those course descriptions and think about what are the skills that you're hoping to gain while doing your MPH, and are these courses going to be giving you what you're looking for? And that can sometimes help guide you when selecting which field that you would like to pursue.
And just to add on to that, and I know it's on this slide, but the other piece that I like is to also look at some of the prior practice sites where people are, because you may find that a practicum or kind of internship-like project is something that you read about and find that that seems very exciting for you. And those are kind of different from field to field.
Yeah. Just a very quick, broad overview of some of our MPH student demographics. We have over 600 students in the program enrolled last year, but that's across all of our MPH different modalities and full-time and part-time. We had nearly, I think, 200 new MPH 45 residential students that started this past summer and fall. And I think around 85 new MPH 65 residential students, along with approximately 35 new MPH FE and 65 new MPH Gen students, just to give you a better sense of some of those numbers in relative to the overall MPH program. And this slide also highlights one of the strengths of our program, being the international diversity of our students. As you can see, our students come from all over the world. We also have many of the US states represented. This past academic year, I believe we had students representing 66 different countries. So it really is an international student body, and one of the really unique features of being a student at Harvard. Just to talk about some of the eligibility requirements, can sometimes be a little bit confusing. So we have different sets of requirements depending on which field of study and modality you're interested in pursuing. So for the MPH 45 residential program, we have a clinical effectiveness field of study, which also has a summer focused program where students primarily take courses over 3 consecutive summers. That does begin with a separate standalone program, summer program that we call the summer program in clinical effectiveness. Those students are typically at the Harvard teaching hospitals or other institutions and have an appointment and have completed their residency. For the occupational and environmental health and quantitative methods fields of studies, you need to either have your prior master's degree or doctoral degree, or be in medical or dental school post-primary clinical year, typically after 3rd year for many of you. And then likewise, with global health, health and social behavior, health management, and health policy, you can also qualify by having your prior master's degree or doctoral degree, or as a medical or dental student post-primary clinical year, or also those with a bachelor's degree and at least 5 years of relevant work experience. The same is true for the epidemiology and generalist fields of study, with the exception that medical and dental students are not eligible for the epidemiology and generalist programs. And in terms of those students who have a master's degree, in general, those who have their master's and at least 2 years of relevant work experience tend to be stronger applicants to the program. Just in terms of looking at the various eligibility aspects for the MPH 45. And we can go over questions in just a few minutes if you have any about these specific fields and eligibility requirements. For the MPH 65, 3 fields of study: health management, health policy, and health and social behavior. With all of these fields of study, those with a bachelor's degree and at least 2 to 5 years of full-time relevant work experience are eligible for the program. While we recognize that working part-time while you're doing your undergraduate degree, or also doing an internship, those are valuable experiences, but they don't count towards that work experience requirement that we're looking for. Sometimes students have a more non-traditional pathway through university, and so if you have a question about your eligibility, please feel free to reach out to us or the admissions office, and we're happy to help answer any questions you may have. And then I also wanted to note that for those students who are interested in one of these 3 fields and have your bachelor's and beyond 5 years of work experience, or you have your master's or doctoral degree, in general, you actually probably are a better fit for the MPH 45 option of the program versus the MPH 65 for a variety of reasons. But not to say that you cannot apply, but just sometimes people wonder, oh, if I'm extra qualified for the MPH 65, shouldn't I apply to that program? Well, actually, the answer is no. You're better served by applying to the MPH 45 option if that is your background. And just to cover some of the SOFAS application components, we do use SOFAS, which is the common application across all of the schools and programs of public health. I think key component of your application is your statement of purpose and objectives. It is fairly focused, and we do ask you to keep it under 600 words, but it's your opportunity to talk to the admissions committee about your background and your public health interests and your reasons for wanting to pursue an MPH at Harvard, and how obtaining your MPH from our program is going to help you achieve your future career goals and help you to become a leader in the field of public health. When you're writing your statement, really try to keep that in mind and try not to just simply rehash your resume, because there are other places that you can focus on those other accomplishments, and encourage you to really take the time to revise your statement and share it with your mentors, share it with your recommendation writers, other colleagues, really take in feedback and give yourself enough time to really hone your statement so that it is kind of your key component. We also need official copies of your transcripts or mark sheets. We don't have a minimum GPA cutoff per se. The admissions committee does look at your academic background in its entirety. In general, do like to see a GPA above or at around a 3.5, but that's not to say that anything under that is a cutoff. Reviewers do look at applications in their entirety, and sometimes there are mitigating factors, or maybe you changed majors, and that can all be taken into account. There is a section in the SOFA's application, additional information that you can share with the admissions committee. So if there is something like that in your background that you would help maybe explain anything about your application that you feel needs more context, that's a good place to talk about that. And then we do have a new policy this year. We're standardized test optional with guidance in terms of the GRE or the MCAT if you're in medical school, or an MD, or some of the other relevant standardized test exams. And I'm going to turn it over to Murray right now to talk more about this new policy and what types of applicants might want to submit their scores, or maybe why you might not need to do so. Because it is optional. We very much want to emphasize that. So
yes, it's
Murray.
very optional. So just a little bit of background on this. We used to have a strict requirement for having standardized test scores, either GRE or MCAT or some relevant standardized test score that we accepted. And over the years, what we learned is that it wasn't all that helpful in selecting our students. And so a combination of that, and during the pandemic, we dropped it as a requirement. And in fact, for the past few years, even if somebody tried to submit them, they'd get pulled from the application before it went on to reviewers. And for the vast majority of people, that was fine. The issue came up particularly for individuals who, and this, it depends on what part of the world you're from, but education systems vary. And there are certainly people who are very well qualified and make outstanding MPH candidates who go on to illustrious careers, who, as during their studies, never took any quantitative methods coursework. So they never took a math class or some other economics, something that involves quantitative analysis and quantitative reasoning. And, in our program, that's one of the foundational things, is being able to, to do those sorts of that sort of coursework, because it's a, foundation of evidence-based public health practice. And so it was very difficult at times to assess applicants from who didn't have any of that on their transcript, because the last time they, engaged in that kind of coursework was high school, and we have no idea of people's aptitude, not memory of how to do this stuff, but their aptitude. And so this year we are switching back to allowing the submission of standardized tests. And one of the major goals is for us to be able to fill in gaps that might exist on your transcript. So if you're one of those people who didn't take any quantitative coursework since high school, and there's nothing on your transcript, perhaps you went straight from high school into medical school, and your medical school or dental school curriculum didn't involve any coursework, or in some other area that you went to college domestically, and again, didn't do any quantitative coursework, the standardized test will be helpful for the review committee to be able to look at something to say that you have an aptitude and will not struggle in those foundational courses in not only the MPH core, but also in different fields of study. And so that's the place where it's useful. But if you have a transcript that includes that sort of work, and that you did okay in them, that you feel like it demonstrates that you have aptitude to do quantitative coursework and quantitative analysis, then the GRE is or other standardized tests are not that helpful to the admissions committee, and they are somewhat burdensome for you to do them if they're not going to make a difference in the evaluation, and would advise many candidates to not do them. for us. I mean, if you're doing them for some other program that requires them and you want to submit them, or you've already done them in the not too distant past and you want to submit them, that's perfectly lovely. They'll be on the file, but I wouldn't recommend spending a lot of time and money and energy doing them unless it's filling a gap that you know exists on your academic transcripts, whether from undergraduate or graduate school or professional school. So I don't know, Anne, do you have anything else to add to that, or is that?
No, well, I guess I would just say that if you then, I think if you have taken, if you have quantitative things on your transcript and you don't feel like it represents you,
Yeah.
then that's really the other angle on it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, so if you did
yeah.
poorly, if let's say the last time you took a quant course was in your first year of higher education, so as a first year undergraduate, or if you went, if you're from abroad and went straight to professional school or something like that, and that first year there was an adjustment period and the first semester was kind of not your best performance, and you didn't do anything since then certainly doing the GREs will, or whatever the appropriate standardized test is, will reassure the committee. So if you have that very low grade, and that's the only thing you have, that would be the other reason, just to document that really doesn't reflect your aptitude. But there might have been other life circumstances. And I'm not, projecting anything about what freshman college life is like. All right, and then the next requirement is the English language proficiency tests, if applicable, and these are not optional. If they're required, they're required.
Thanks.
Emily, resume.
Sure. So the next component, we require 3 letters of recommendation. We recommend that these should come from people who have supervised you, or who have taught you, who know your work well and know why you want to pursue an MPH, and can also comment on your ability to be a future leader in the field of public health. It's one reason we do recommend that you share your personal statement with your recommenders before they submit their form. Much more so than a brand name, well-known recommender, we really do want to see recommendations from supervisors, faculty, or other mentors who know you well. I always encourage applicants to ask their recommender if they can write you a strong letter of recommendation, and make sure that you give them ample time to write your letter. And also, in addition to your statement, you would like to give them a recent copy of your resume or your CV. And you may also just want to share with them more about why you're applying to grad school and interested in doing your MPH and how it fits with your personal and professional career goals. Another tip per se, some applicants ask different recommenders to focus on and highlight different parts or aspects of their background, especially if there's a potential weakness in your application that a recommender can also help address. It can be a good strategy. And using all these different components of the application to really craft your personal narrative about your strength as an applicant and what you can contribute to the MPH program as well. For more recent graduates, those with 2 to 5 years of work experience, a 1 to 2 page resume is sufficient. You really don't need a full CV. We also encourage you to think broadly about your experiences and qualifications when you are creating your CV or resume, such as a scholarship that maybe you received as an undergrad, but also do try to keep it focused. So your academic background and any related research projects that might be relevant, or experiences outside the classroom, various extracurriculars, and how you spent your time, other achievements and accomplishments, both at the individual level or within your community. could also include relevant non-degree courses or seminars or other professional development opportunities that you've participated in. There is also a section in the SOFIS application that asks for similar information that's typically on your resume or CV. I know it might feel a bit tedious to do so, but we do recommend that you fill this out in addition to uploading the PDF of your resume or CV because reviewers absorb information at multiple points, and it can just be useful to provide that in a variety of ways. So again, I'm just really thinking about what's your personal narrative and why you want to pursue your MPH and your background and qualifications, and how you can use all of these different components of the application to share that with the admissions committee. And there is a SOFIS application fee, and also just wanted to note that if you do have any questions about any parts of the SOFIS application, the best contact is the admissions office. And there are emails, it's admissions@hsph.harvard.edu. And you can always also reach out to us, but in general, for questions about the kind of nuts and bolts of the application, admissions is the best contact. And with that, we are going to, I think, come to the question and answer part of our presentation. So the MPH program is based out of our office, the Office of Educational Programs, or the MPH Program Office. We are also affiliated with the academic departments through which your field of study may be affiliated with as well. And so there's a variety of touch points and support that you receive when you're a student at HSPH. But just in terms of the structure of the program, that is how it works. And I think we can stop the recording now.
And, you know, Emily,